With 62,064 new cases reported in the last 24 hours, the total case lot in India has now risen to 22,15,075. Of this, 6,34,945 are active cases, while 15,35,744 patients have already been discharged, data from the Union Health Ministry showed. As many as 1,007 deaths were reported, taking the casualties to 44,386. For the last 4 days, COVID-19 cases in India have risen by over 60,000. During the period, India has been reporting more novel coronavirus infections than any other country in the world. The United States and Brazil, two countries that have greater number of people infected by the virus, till now have been finding fewer number of new cases every day during this period. While India's case numbers have been increasing steadily with more than 60,000 new cases for the last 3 days. With nearly 30,000 new coronavirus cases and over 330 deaths linked to the virus recorded in the past 7 days, the week ending Sunday saw the highest jump in COVID-19 infection and fatalities in Uttar Pradesh. In the last 5 days of the week, over 4,000 cases were recorded. Sunday added 4,687 new cases and 45 deaths, taking the cumulative count to 1,22,609, the sixth highest in the country after Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Delhi. Uttar Pradesh now accounts for 5.5% of the total cases in the country, while the weekly average growth rate dropped by nearly 1 percentage point to 4.6%. A welcome trend. That number of active cases grew by over 10,000 cases. The number in the United States and Brazil have not gone past over 50,000 per day in the last 3 days. Globally, over 19.5 million cases of coronavirus and 7.25 lakh deaths have been reported. Australia had its deadliest day in the coronavirus pandemic with 19 fatalities in the state of Victoria. Texas reported its positive test rate rose to a record as the US passed 5 million COVID-19 infections, having added 1 million cases in barely more than 2 weeks. Bureau Report. Even before the outbreak, India was struggling to keep children in school. A 2018 study by DHL International estimated that more than 56 million children were out of school in India, more than double the combined number across Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines. The cost of India's economy in terms of lost productivity was projected at $6.79 billion or 0.3% of gross domestic product. Of those children not in school, 10.1 million are working either as a named worker or as a marginal worker, according to the International Labour Organization. In India, home to more young people than any other country in the world, this lost generation of children will have substantial effects on Asia's third largest economy, lower productivity and earning potential, unrealized tax revenue, increased poverty levels, and pressure for more government handouts. The Indian Constitution provides free and compulsory education for all children in the age group of 6 to 14 as a fundamental right. Moreover, the law on child labour prohibits employment of adolescents between the age of 14 and 18 from working in any hazardous or dangerous occupations. The same law bars children under the age of 14 in any form of occupation except as a child artist or in a family business. But during Corona times, children may be seen as a stopgap measure to fill the jobs left vacant by migrant laborers who fled cities for their rural homes during the lockdown. Global child labor has been gradually declining in the past 2 decades, but the COVID-19 pandemic threatens to reverse that trend. According to the ILO, as many as 60 million people are expected to fall into poverty this year alone, and that inevitably drives families to send children out to work. A joint report by the ILO and United Nations Children's Fund estimates that a 1 percentage point rise in poverty leads to at least a 0.7 percentage point increase in child labor. Indonesia, the world's fourth most populous nation, is another country that will see large numbers of children from vulnerable families dropped out of school and into the workforce. The ILO estimates about 11 million are at risk of being exploited as child laborers under current conditions, especially in the less developed eastern part of the country like Sulawesi Islands, Nusa Tenggara and Papua. Bureau Report. in question cannot multiply, Ginsburg was quoted as saying. Meanwhile, a Russian virologist has questioned the safety of the country's swiftly developed COVID-19 vaccine candidate, warning that it could be dangerous for those having antibodies to the SARS-CoV-2. A report in the Moscow Times citing Alexander Chepernov, a former head of the infectious diseases at the Vector, pointed to the lack of the available information and data about the vaccine's clinical trials as a red flag. The danger is there in terms of the possibility of increasing the severity of the disease with the wrong vaccine, Chepernov said. The vaccine, which have been developed jointly by the Gamaleya Research Institute and the Russian Defense Ministry, is set to get official registration this week amid its final phase of testing. The vaccine began clinical trials on June 18. Gritnev had said that the effectiveness of the vaccine will be decided when the population has developed an immunity. Some people naturally have a fever when the immune system of the person being vaccinated receives a powerful boost, but this side effect can easily be overcome by taking paracetamol, Ginsburg further added. Last week, the World Health Organization had raised concerns over COVID-19 vaccine after Moscow announced its aim to launch mass production in September. The UN Health Agency urged Russia to follow the established vaccine guidelines before rolling out the vaccine. As per the WHO, 6 vaccine candidates are currently in the last stage phase of clinical trials. Bureau Report. People of Andaman and Nicobar for this connectivity filled with endless opportunities. The high-impact projects are being expanded in 12 islands of Andaman and Nicobar. This will resolve a major problem of mobile and internet connectivity in the region. Apart from this, physical connectivity through road, air and water will also be strengthened. Noting that the project posed a big challenge, the PM said that work of laying of cables for nearly 2,300 kilometers under the sea and completing tasks ahead of this schedule is praiseworthy. PM further said that the optical fiber cable connecting the Andaman and Nicobar with the rest of the country is a symbol of a commitment towards improving connectivity and ease of living. Be it online classes, tourism, banking, shopping or telemedicine, thousands of families in the region will benefit from this. He said tourism in Andaman will reap a huge benefit for this facility. I hope that our efforts today in this decade will give Andaman and Nicobar not only a few facilities to the people there, but also as a prominent place in the world tourism map, he added. To strengthen the road connectivity of North and Middle Andaman, 2 major bridges of the National Highway 4 widening are being worked on rapidly. Further capacity to handle the 1,200 passengers simultaneously at Port Blair Airport will be ready in the coming few months. Stating that with India following the new policy and practice of trade and cooperation in the Indo-Pacific, PM noted that the importance of our islands, including Andaman and Nicobar, had increased further. He also said that big ships will be able to dock once the ports in the region are developed further. This will increase India's share in maritime trade and give more opportunities to the youth. Bureau Report. The negative import list of 101 embargoed items comprises some high-technology weapon systems like artillery guns, assault rifles, warships, sonar system, submarines, light transport, aircraft, light combat helicopters, radars and light combat aircraft. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, while announcing the policy, said, "This is a big step towards a self-reliance in defense. It also offers a great opportunity to the Indian industry to manufacture items on the negative list by using its own capabilities or adopting the technologies designed by the DRDO. Any item on the negative list can now only be sourced from the domestic industry. Most of the items on the embargo list are already being produced by the public sector units or the private industry. The MOD will place orders worth Rs 4 lakh crore with the domestic industry over the next 5 to 7 years by cutting down on these imports. The embargo would be implemented in phases. Among the big orders for the domestic industry will be submarines, which would come under the import embargo by December 2021. A contract for 6 of this would be worth about 42,000 crore. The likely embargo date for the LCA-MK-1A is December 2020. An order of the 123 of this for the IAF with an approximate cost of Rs 85,000 crore will now go to domestic players. The embargo on imports will be progressively implemented from 2020 to 2024. The Department of the Military Affairs, DMA, headed by the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, prepared the list for 101 items. The Indian defence industry can either have its own designed or adopt the technologies designed and developed by the Defence Research and Development Organization. The list was finalized by MOD after several rounds of consultations with all stakeholders, including Army, Air Force, Navy, DRDO, Defence Public Sector Undertakings, Ordnance Factory Board and the private industry. They assessed the current and the future capabilities of the Indian industry for manufacturing. The MOD has bifurcated the capital procurement budget for 2020-21 into domestic and foreign routes. A separate budget head has been created with an outlay of Rs 52,000 crore for domestic capital procurement. Bureau Report.